and then we'll be able to share things, and people will be ready to rock and roll right around the appointed time.
Sure.
Apparently, Mark Zuckerberg is now sharing something from Facebook called Livestream. I don't know what he's doing. Fucker. Thanks for ruining my life. You dick. I just saw some of the clips from. So they're on Fox. They're not even going with he kicked Stephanopoulos' ass. He's going. They're going with. They're not even doing that.
Yeah,
that's funny. Because that's usually that's the default position.
I know, but
we can't even fake it. I'm sharing to me right now.
I'm looking.
It's coming. Tag. You're getting tagged. I'll tag Bryant. All right, should be coming at you live in here in a second. Are you being notified on your feed?
I see it on yours.
Okay.
That's how I do it. I just go to your page.
Either way, man, whatever works. It's all good in the hood. That's what I say. Booyah.
There we go.
In addition to being on Facebook and YouTube, we're also on the Twitter machine on Periscope. So welcome to all of our friends, like South Jewish Woman, who also is a huge fan, has been for a number of years, and always tries to catch us live whenever she can. And it looks like our friend Carlos Caesar, our new friend, who's been around for about 6 or 8 months now, he's checking in as well. Good to see you, Carlos.
Can I? There it is. All right, let me go back to it. Can I just show this ahead of time here? There it is.
What do you have there? Michigan and Ohio State. What year is that?
It looks like it's from the early '80s. Earl Bruce is the coach there. That's Earl Bruce.
There's a great Earl Bruce. That's funny.
I mean, it's post Woody, but Bo is still around because there's Bo.
What is the conventional wisdom? How has history remembered Earl Bruce as a coach at the Ohio State University? Pretty good.
Yeah. Well, he was. This is a bad comparison, but he's like the Jimmy Carter of coaches.
I get it, right.
He had except he had a great record. Mm-hmm. He actually had a great. He wasn't a loser,
right?
Okay?
But he gets tagged.
Well, first of all, he was the guy who came in after Wood.
Right.
So that was, but he was there for 10 years. I think he had a really good record, and then after he got done, he became a beloved figure around Columbus. I think he did the football games on radio. He was that guy,
right?
As opposed to, say, John Cooper, who, he was the guy that they put the for sale signs on his lawn all the time and said, "Get out of town."
But in retrospect, that seems a little endearing compared to what we go through now with coaches and shit. I mean, would you rather be doxxed and swatted and have like all of your shit put on Facebook and Instagram and shit, or would you rather just have a for sale sign on your front yard? It almost seems like another quaint era in America, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm not.
All right, I'm ready to roll whenever you are, man.
Okay. And by the way, I have my notes. You can see them. That's what we're going to talk about.
Okay, yeah, sure. I've captured that. That's fine.
But I can't read.
As you know, we will deviate from those notes in about 0.7 seconds. So don't really, even if you were able to capture that, which you weren't, don't worry about it.
All right. Here we go. Ready?
Yep.
It's the Brad and Britt cast for this day, today, and then one more, and then into the weekend we go. But right before we got started, a story crossed, and this isn't the biggest story, but it is kind of a big story for millions of people, probably, if it comes to fruition. What does Donald Trump often do? He often undercuts his own people. He makes a split decision. He goes 180 on something, and nobody knows about it. And then the first version of the story is Donald Trump decided to blank. He didn't tell anyone. And now everyone is going to scramble on his side to justify him and pretend that they were on his side the whole time, right? How many times does that happen?
A million. A million, jillion, gazillion.
Here's the headline. Trump undercuts GOP, calls for bigger COVID-19 relief package.
Oh, here we go.
There you go. There it is.
Geez, I hope that doesn't frustrate Mitch McConnell. I hope he doesn't slam his head into a wall and curse.
Right. So I think the parameters are like $3 trillion for the Democrats, $1 trillion or less for the Republicans, $2 trillion. And Pelosi has been standing her ground, and she's been taking all kinds of shit for that because they're trying to position her as she doesn't want to help anyone, which obviously isn't true.
Exactly.
You know, the Democrats' package is much more comprehensive, puts much more money in people's pockets, helps many more businesses, helps with health care and education and all those kinds of things that Republicans lie about pretending that they care about. But now that it's time to pony up, suddenly this thing from their past comes up, and they care about deficit spending. They care about debt.
Okay. It's always great when that happens, when they just selectively decide to do that.
Deficit spending doesn't mean much if you're dead.
Okay? Yeah, as it turns out. As it turns out, that's exactly right.
Oh, by the way, speaking of that, my father died about 10 years ago, and in the last few years of his life, he didn't have a lot of money. We supported him, and that was fine. Mm-hmm. But he had this propensity behind our back to get credit cards and run them up to the limit. And the limit could be $10,000, $15,000. And he liked to gamble. Okay. And after he died, what happens? You go through their shit. You go through their stuff.
The receipts and everything.
You see the receipts. You see the bills. And so right behind me, you can see all that junk that's behind me. There's a folder that's got some papers in it. And in it are some of these credit card bills. And he died with a couple of $10,000 plus credit card bills that we didn't know about.
Jeepers.
Now, not to equate that with what's going on in America, but
no,
he's dead and the debt doesn't matter. Okay. Because Visa and MasterCard, they write it off.
They have to.
They charge everybody else more interest to pay for those kinds of people. But in this particular case, we're talking about a whole country. We're talking about tens of millions of people who right now, at this moment, the restaurants are closing.
Yeah.
They're going out of business.
Right.
We're not going to retrain everyone to be software engineers in 6 months.
No.
Everyone is not going to have one of those kinds of jobs.
Nope.
And the only way that you are honest and you say, well, the first time they passed a relief package for everyone was because it was thought errantly, because we had a president who didn't even want to acknowledge the actual danger that the virus was hanging over our heads. It was just killing people. He didn't acknowledge. He was lying. We know that. So they passed that first relief package, the Congress, and it was to get from A to B. B was supposed to be where we had broken the curve. We could get back to some semblance of normal life, and small businesses could stop having to tread water and could reopen and start to welcome customers again. We're not at that point.
No.
We're not even close to that point.
No.
And virus counts are going up again. We're past 50,000 new ones per day again. So that is not crushing the virus. And by the way, remember back then, that was passed when the number of daily positive cases was way less than 50,000 people. So
It's hard to remember. Yeah.
If 50 turns into 100 or 150,000 new ones a day, and people have gone out of business, people have lost their homes, they're going to get kicked out of their apartments, they can't pay the rent, and the Congress has done nothing or has done what the Republicans want to do, which is next to nothing, we're going to head into a depression. It's going to be a depression. You cannot have one part of the country booming and the other part of the country in complete collapse without social unrest, like the president would say, like you've never seen, because we can see it in this country. It can happen. We can have a French Revolution in this country. If you choke people, if you squeeze them hard enough, they're going to push back. And so Trump, remember, and we've been consistent on this since day one of his presidency, Donald Trump has never, ever, not once done anything ever while president that he didn't at first perceive as being in his interest, right?
Correct.
Ever.
Right.
It was always about what can I do to get reelected? Because he remember how he joked about the fact that he was going to go out and do rallies immediately after getting elected and immediately after inauguration, because I'm running for reelection right now. Oh, it was so funny. And we didn't think it was very funny then, and certainly has turned out not to be very funny. But everything he has done has been about reelection. And by the way, let the marker show, and I hope this never has to be discussed ever again, but if Trump were to get reelected, if he were, he would still go out and do these rallies.
Oh, yeah.
He absolutely would continue to do rallies, because we know that the reason that he does them are not only for his reelection, because it makes him feel good, right? It boosts his ego. Everyone around him says that. They admit it.
That was the original impetus, if you believe at least some of the narrative from the campaign, was that he goes on, he has, he does the thing where they go down the escalators, they announce, and they go out. I think he didn't do well in the Iowa primary or something like that. Something happened, and it was bad for the campaign. They said, well, just go on this campaign rally down to Alabama. I think it was Mobile or something, which, by the way, ironically, is getting hammered right now by a hurricane. And he goes, okay, I'll do it. And he loved it. He loved the affirmation and all the adulation and all that shit. And they were like, yes, we're going to go ahead with this shit. I don't care. Because it was always just an idea for him to improve the brand. He never wanted to be president, didn't really want to run for president. He just wanted to get his name even elevated in the national discourse. And that was the original sin, was that he loved the rally so much that he wanted to keep on doing it. I was looking at the scoreboard for the COVID cases, and they have the New York Times obviously has really good stuff about this. I think they have several categories of where the states where the new cases are higher and staying high, where they're higher but going down, where they're lower but going up. And our state, North Carolina, Brad, is one of the states where the new cases are lower and staying low. Is there any question that a lot of that is because of the leadership of Roy Cooper, which he has gotten tons of shit about? Is there any question about that?
Well, when you say he's gotten tons of shit about, he's gotten tons of shit from ignorant people.
Exactly.
Who would follow Donald Trump over the cliff if he said walk over the cliff. So that isn't, I don't even consider that he's gotten tons of shit about it, because he's just simply done the right thing.
Right.
But I know in Trump world, it's telling the truth is an attack on Trump, right? Mm-hmm. Being factual is an attack on Trump. The people at that town hall on ABC last night, they were guilty of an ambush on Trump. Why? Because they asked him the direct kind of questions that citizens really care about, that only get talked about between talking heads on MSNBC and CNN, but never on Fox. But he ventured into the real world last night, and real people asked real tough questions about their lives, of which he demonstrated once and for all, in case anybody didn't realize it, you people who think he's the blue-collar billionaire, that he has no idea what people are going through in this country. He has no concept of what day-to-day life is like. He has no idea that people are hurting. He has no idea that millions and millions and tens of millions of families are having to balance trying to go back to work, having to educate their children at home, and not getting the kind of time off or help from the government that should be there. I know it's not fair to go back and say shoulda, woulda, coulda, but anybody knew back in the spring that job one, a lot of job ones, but certainly job one could have and should have been, what do we need to do to get schools open this fall? Colleges, universities, elementary, middle, high school, because if you shackle parents with having to be teachers at the same time, you're not going to get any economic growth. You're not going to get people being able to do what they wanted. It was impossible, but they didn't do that.
No.
And there still is no plan nationally to this day. And I know one size doesn't fit all. I get that, but that's dropping the ball big time as far as I'm concerned.
When I look at foxnews.com, that town hall didn't even happen last night. It doesn't exist. It's not on their front page. Here's the front page story at foxnews.com. Senate committee approves subpoenas for Comey, Brennan, Clapper, and more in Russia origins review. That's the top story at foxnews.com right now.
Right. You know what that is? That's a win for Joe Biden. That's just a win for Joe Biden, because Joe Biden can be a C- or D candidate, and all he has to do is stay close to being on message and talk about things that people care about, talk about their health care, counteract the fact that, once again, if he wants to, that Donald Trump just lied through his teeth 5 ways from Sunday when he was asked about Obamacare and where is your plan. And he played the game with George Stephanopoulos. I'll have it in 2 weeks. Okay, this guy is that is his number, isn't it? It isn't always I'll have this in 2 weeks. Of course, so Stephanopoulos said, "You said that 3 years ago. Where is it?" now in the world of Fox, that's an ambush, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But it's so obvious, and he just lied 6 times over about pre-existing conditions. And again, can I go off ramp and go nitpick here for a second?
Sure.
Okay. People say pre-existing conditions backwards. Okay. It's like regardless and irregardless, or he could care less. No. He couldn't care less. And with pre-existing conditions, people say, are we going to keep pre-existing conditions? Well, no, that's not how you say it.
What does it mean?
Are we going to protect people through insurance plans that do not consider pre-existing conditions at all in the way they cover you? And I know that's really kind of obnoxious to say it that way, but Trump uses that to his advantage. Nobody's better on pre-existing conditions than I am. What does that mean?
It means nothing.
That doesn't mean anything.
It means zero. It means less than zero. Yeah.
And of course, the kind of plans that are now available to people outside of Obamacare, which he brags about being the greatest thing ever, because people were just losing everything. They couldn't keep their doctor. Nobody, and these are the kind of plans that don't have lifetime caps. So if, or they do have lifetime caps, you get to $1 million of coverage. See, I did it backwards.
Exactly.
I said it backwards. You have to have plans with no lifetime caps. And that's what Obamacare did across the board. And so he's just lying. And I think we've talked about this for 4 years. At a certain point, the shit gets too heavy and your shoulders break. And critical mass is when a pandemic hits and people are probably all looking at their health care coverage, their plans right now, thinking, what happens if? What will happen to my family if? And Donald Trump is lying about it. And we know that the popularity of Obamacare in general is higher than it's ever been. And the number of people who are actually under plans sold under healthcare.gov Obama is relatively small. They never mention that, right? You would
Nope.
think that everybody in the country had to, most people still have coverage through their employers, but lots of people are unemployed.
That's right.
Just lost their health
That's
insurance.
right. Which,
So
by the
what are
way,
they gonna do?
that's what they were saying when they came up with Obamacare. It's like, it's great to have it through your employer, but what happens if you lose your job? And they said that a million freaking times, and they've said that for 70 years plus about, hey, it's great to have an employer base. Well, that's an incentive for people to go get a job. Well, okay, people got jobs, and now people are out of work through no fault of their own, millions of them, and they don't have any health coverage. And the ones who are able to get a plan, guess what? They have high deductibles, and they're going to have all sorts of problems. They're going to owe a lot in medical bills. And it doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. Any other third world, any other first world industrialized nation doesn't allow their citizens to go broke if they get sick. It just doesn't happen. But we're the greatest country in the world still.
And just to add on to that, he had to go and play the socialized medicine card. He must have used that phrase 60 times.
Holy shit.
That it's all about, if you elect Joe Biden, we're going to have socialized medicine, which of course people don't even know what that means.
I hope it means nothing. I hope
Obamacare is not socialized medicine.
No, it's not.
But it doesn't matter. So let me get to this one point, and then we'll move on to something else, because I think this is really important, because it kind of covers everything we've talked about on every subject every day for the last 4 years. And I believe there's a form of this in the book by Bob Woodward, who explained this today. And this is so evil. This is so Orwellian.
Okay.
This is so Hitler-like that you're not going to believe when I tell you this story. Jared Kushner says this: here's why Donald Trump lies. Jared Kushner is justifying the way Donald Trump speaks and lies and dispenses mis and disinformation, apparently on purpose, also out of ignorance, obviously, too. But he justifies it because it gets the discussion into the ether. And by repeating it over and over and over again, it's not important that the facts are correct. In fact, they love the idea that Donald Trump gets fact-checked all the time by the nitpickers, because the real people, they don't care about that. They are just interested in getting the lie out there. That is Hitler shit. That is the big lie. But that's the big lie on every subject. And I thought, maybe that's why Donald Trump keeps calling the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic the 1917 flu, because he knows that it drives people crazy who are just a slight bit educated on history and know that it was in 1918 into 1919 through the end of World War I. And he doesn't care. He does not care. That's evil.
Yeah, okay? It is. Yeah.
There is no other word to describe. And the fact that little worm, that shit-eating worm, Jared Kushner, is front running for that guy. Mm-hmm. Wow. You have any? By the way, should we just stop now, because kind of everything else falls away once you realize
it's a big deal.
This is their plan. This is what he does.
You have any suggestions for Jared as the high holidays come up? Anything he should do on Yom Kippur to try to atone for a lot of shit? Any thoughts?
Yeah, because I was watching yesterday after we got done. I was watching Behind the Music about Chicago.
Yeah,
and I was thinking he could do his Terry Kath imitation. get himself a gun, pretend it's not loaded. Yeah. Remember, his final words were, "It's
is this thing loaded? Is this thing loaded?"
Yeah,
because literally the last thing Terry Kath ever said.
Right, and just blow his head off.
You want to go with your
Lashana Tova for all of us?
Do you want to go with your great the statement that you always make is how is Terry Kath not with us, but Jared Kushner is?
Right. Oh, sure.
I was Terry Kath dead, but Jared Kushner isn't.
I can do that with any good person that
Yeah.
passes on. Sure.
Why is Carl Reiner gone away, but Stephen Miller's still there? I don't understand. It just doesn't make any sense.
That's right.
You talk about a win for Joe Biden, which you talked about just a moment ago. A win for Donald Trump would be that Big Ten football is back. The commissioners and the folks who run the Big Ten, all of the deans and everybody, devoted to October 24th, they're going to start playing some football. And, of course, Donald Trump had wanted this to happen and had pushed for it to happen. And now, by God, here's a president that gets things done. We're going to have college football in the Big Ten in some states that Donald Trump needs desperately for re-election on October the 24th. It is a big win for Donald J. Trump, Brad.
He took credit for it. He tweeted out.
Of course he did.
He tweeted. Now, here's the point. The timing on this actually couldn't be worse, because where is the coronavirus exploding the most in this country?
Well, I'm looking at it right now where the cases are higher and staying high. I can tell you with all kinds of Missouri, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Here we go. There is the cases are higher, but going down in some cases in places like they're Big Ten schools. So yeah, you're right. It's going to be in that area. So that exactly in the Midwest is where it's having a huge problem.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And they're not playing for another month. So between now and then, all kinds of things have changed. But
by election day, but the
colleges in that area, the actual universities, not the football teams, are having all kinds of trouble. Ohio State was a mess, just a total mess. I was ready to turn in my diploma. I was so sick that they were handling this so badly. All kinds
nothing else got to you before now, but this was the trigger that made you want to turn your diploma in.
Right. Michigan's a mess, and for them to decide now to play a month from now,
right,
when this is heating up and the students are either sequestered on campus or they're going to get tossed off, I think they're making a huge mistake. I think they should have gone very conservative and said, we'll play in January and February if we have to, if we can. And I mean, this isn't about giving Donald Trump a victory. Do you really think for 1 second at this point, no matter how in the tank people are as football fans for Michigan or Ohio State or Minnesota, Wisconsin, Indiana, whatever, that they're, I'm on the fence. I'm an undecided vote. Now I'm voting for Trump because he bullied, cajoled, threatened, and did all the horrible things he does with everyone else to Big Ten football and to the people who run Big Ten football, and got his way. That's why I love Donald Trump, because he gets his way by being a mafia don. Well, I'm voting for him now. He has made, I think, a million miscalculations. And all these things that we talk about that he does that are always only in his interest first and everybody else's second. If he thinks that Michigan playing Ohio State again this year is, wait a minute.
See, now you're turning around.
No, that is going to move votes for him in those states. He's nuts. People, and I know this is going to be news to him, people care more about their children. People care more about their health. People care more about their jobs. People care more about their future than they do about the football season.
Allow me to present the counter argument, which is I don't care. I don't care. I love college football. I love seeing Ohio State on Saturday, and I don't give a shit. Whoever does it for me, that's going to get my vote. There's a segment of people that are going to think that way. I don't know if it's going to be enough to carry an election. I don't know if it's going to be the suburban women in Columbus and Cleveland that are going to help him.
They're already voting for Trump. If so that's their attitude. Those are Trumpers.
But they're going to try to talk all their friends. No, look, he gave you the football back. This is a guy who gave. I mean, I don't give a shit what happens. He got us our football, and that's all that matters on Saturday afternoon. I don't give a shit.
Britt, they'll be as successful at flipping a Biden voter over to Trump because they're playing football as you will with your Trump-loving friends and maybe even your brother by appealing to his better angels and saying it's the right thing to do. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
We don't talk about it at all.
This election is, I think it's baked. I think it's baked right now.
I do too.
Far be it from Joe Biden falling down at a debate or something of that sort. And if you saw Trump's performance at all, or you even see the clips, I think it portends really, really well for Joe Biden at the debate because, number one, the first moderator is Chris Wallace. Okay. And I guarantee you that Donald Trump is going to be fighting with Chris Wallace as much as he is with Biden.
More.
Because the first things that'll come into Donald Trump's mind are how Chris Wallace railroaded him in that interview a few months ago. Remember that?
Yep,
and I'm not going to let you do it to me again. You can just see it. You can just see it coming. In
the
fact,
win for
there'll be blood coming out of his ears.
The win for Joe Biden will be when Trump starts railing against Chris Wallace and says, Fox used to be so good. What happened to Fox? Fox is not for us anymore. And he'll just go off on that tangent and start bitching about that. At that point, you'll know it is completely over.
It is over.
It's done.
Because, of course, this is not a Fox interview. This is not a Fox debate. This is not that at all. And that's the advantage for Biden here, is that Donald Trump does not understand integrity. Donald Trump does not understand professionalism. Donald Trump does not understand trying to give everybody a fair shake. And he's not going to prepare because he thinks that that's for sissies, right? To go through a mock debate or have someone play Joe Biden, that wouldn't matter anyway. Because if he practiced being an asshole, that would only be 1/10 of the asshole he's going to be on stage, right?
It's true. It's absolutely
it's not
true.
going to be close. So, Biden just has to put on the same kind of performance that he did at the Democratic debates. When, remember, there were several debates where they were coming at him really, really hard. They were pounding him. Kamala Harris,
big time.
Kane, and for the moment, he weathered it pretty well.
He did fine.
He really, really did. And Donald Trump comes in with, he's the biggest thug to walk into the debate ring since Sonny Liston versus Cassius Clay in Lewiston, Maine in 1964.
Right. And the fight was thrown. The controversy still goes on to this day. Did Liston lay down for Cassius? Yeah, there was one debate early on where he got tagged pretty hard, didn't come back, and then after that he responded very well and did very well in those debates with the other Democrats. So I think you're right; he's going to do fine. I didn't see much of the town hall itself. I don't know how much you saw. What I saw looked like an intervention. I thought I saw a woman talking about how she has some health problems and how she wished the president would encourage people more to wear masks and would have done that from the very beginning. So it felt like there was some sort of intervention, like a come to Jesus, like if we can just confront him, we can make him see the light on this, and there's just no possible way. And God bless the people who try.
No, it's not about making him see the light. It's about exposing him for the fraud that he is. And he got exposed again on Wednesday morning when the director of the CDC, Robert Redfield, this is going to be a famous clip that's being shown through the day and into the evening. He holds up a mask and says, as far as I'm concerned, this is the first vaccine. This, to me, is going to be, certainly in the short term and in the medium term, going to be a much more effective defense against coronavirus for me than any vaccine would if it existed. Well, that's a complete repudiation of Donald Trump. That's a complete repudiation of Donald Trump, the guy who doesn't believe in science until he decides he's putting everything into science and hoping that there will be some miracle cure coming down from God in time for him to announce. And again, those people that we talk about who supposedly would be swayed by that, it's not going to happen. But when the head of the CDC holds up a mask and says, here it is, this is what's going to do it. And we know from what's happened in other countries where they have 90+% compliance that it does make a big difference. I believe in Israel, where they have fallen back into a full lockdown. Did you hear this?
I've heard this.
Right, here you go. Netanyahu, who, unless I'm wrong, loves to have Donald Trump approve of everything that he does, right? They're the best buddies. Donald Trump gave him a key to the White House the other day for that peace plan that didn't even register in the top 20 stories in the Wall Street Journal on the side where they list all the little paragraphs about each story. So I'm not getting any credit for being the great peacemaker in the Middle East. No, you're not. No, you're not, because you're killing your own country. Okay.
That's true. It's
and
true.
as I've said twice this week, I'll say it again. Americans are not sitting around their kitchen table worrying about the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain making some peace with Israel and having exchanged ambassadors and flights. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care. And I can speak on behalf of the American people with full confidence on that.
Oh, I think you're right about that. But
so Netanyahu let up. He let up in Israel, and they reopened everything.
And now
they've got exploding cases. I believe they have 5,000 or more new cases a day, but that's in a country that's tiny. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to multiply that by about 20 to get the United States population, maybe more. So they're clipping along at 100,000 or more per day if it was the United States. So they've closed up the whole country again. No schools, no shopping. You're only allowed 1,600 feet from your house. I don't know how they came up with that number, but I like it. And all these things to try to shut it down. So it's just a mess. It just is.
But Brad,
he's just going to go away. It's not just going to go away.
He moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, and that has improved the life of so many Americans. I mean, I don't understand how you don't get that.
Right.
The Trump administration.
Here we go again. He's got all the votes he's ever going to get with that kind of stuff. Nobody cares.
But Clem Cadiddlehopper again down in Valdosta, Georgia. What do we go with as the new name for our guy? Bubba down there in Valdosta, Georgia. He loved that the embassy was opened up. He doesn't know why, but he loves the fact that they opened up the embassy in Jerusalem. It hadn't done shit for him. It hasn't done fuck all. It didn't keep Clem's cousin from dying of COVID-19. It didn't keep half Clem's family from being unemployed because of COVID-19. But he loves the fact that Donald Trump put that embassy in Jerusalem, by God. So he's going to vote for Donald Trump in just a few days. This story coming out as we started recording. Michael Caputo will be taking a 60-day medical leave of absence from his role as the Department of Health and Human Services top spokesperson. This is a decision that comes days, Brad, after he accused government scientists of sedition and warned of upcoming left-wing violence in a Facebook video.
All right, let's tear this one apart for about 2 seconds, because it's worth about 2 seconds. Number one, Caputo is a worm. Caputo has always been a worm.
He's a loon.
Caputo was a frequent guest on all of the cable channels. Okay.
Right.
And he tried to position himself as this kind of above the fray insider who wasn't really beholden to Trump and could criticize him, but you knew he was in the tank. He tried to play every angle on the pool table. And you know what happens when you do that? You usually have a ball that goes boom, 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 and ends up you don't get any points, right? That's what happened. He is a liar. And again, I don't want to be seen as anti-Ukrainian or Russian, but I believe he is on his second wife. I believe his first wife was Russian and his second wife is Ukrainian. Now, how is it possible?
What are the odds?
How is it possible that every one of these guys,
just a coincidence,
every one of them, there are just no American women who want to get near these guys, but he did spend a lot of time over there. I understand that. And that's what you do. You pick up a wife. That way you don't have to pay the delivery charge when they're
That's what did I ever tell you about the guy I worked for that was into the mail order bride thing from Russia?
No.
Yeah, it was the guy I worked for in Wilmington. We were number one after that one ratings period, and then he decided a few days after that to fire me because he found somebody way better than me, and that guy lasted like 3 months.
Stay on point.
Well, no, I got to establish why I hate him. So then I have to go. He would had the Russian mail order bride. So a lot of the people from that I worked with at the one station, they defected to a competing station, and they would play "From Russia with Love" on the air. So he had a staff meeting and told people not to let out their secrets to everybody else because they shouldn't be doing that. He eventually ran for mayor, by the way. Got his ass kicked. No, he got his ass kicked. He got destroyed on that one. So Caputo being a complete lunatic, it's medical leave of absence, Brad. Are they going to try to assess whether the man is crazy as shit? Is that an actual? Can you ask your wife, who has a degree and is a psychiatrist, is that an actual diagnosis? Crazy as shit? Because that's what it sounds like to me.
It is. But think about this. He's taking a 60-day leave of absence. You mean? Let's play this game for a second.
Sure.
2 months from now,
yeah,
he can return to that job.
Well,
there's anything that he can say 60 days from now? No, he should be banished from all society, let alone have an important government position, a very important government position right now, lying about the CDC. It's a very important position. And he shouldn't be in government. Trump should be impeached for appointing him to anything. But again, and we've mentioned this through the years, remember, the pool of people for Trump to choose for any position has been shrinking since the day he took office, right?
Well, hopefully he won't have a lot of time that he will need to fill any positions, is what I'm thinking.
I understand that. Right. So 60 days from now, there will be hopefully a new president that is president-elect. Mm-hmm. And you will never hear of Michael Caputo again. But even if Trump were to be reelected, I'm just guessing that he's just not going to get that position again. But again, the fake 60-day leave of absence, I guess that's a different version of retired to spend more time with his family, right?
Well, yeah, he's going to spend more. He's looking for a family to spend time with. That's always what I like. No, wouldn't it be just like Trump to bring him back if he loses and bring him back in the middle of November just to kind of fuck with people for the next 60 days until he's out of office? That's very Trump-esque to me. I don't know.
I wouldn't doubt that one for a second.
I'm just saying, and if I always try to project, and I don't want to because I don't want to get overconfident. I don't like the title of this opinion piece in the New York Times. It's by Stephanie Mervichik and John Shields. It says, those Biden gaffes, some key voters actually like them. I don't really kind of like that particular piece because that kind of harkens back to Trump. But, I'm scared of shit like that. I try to project for life after Donald Trump and what it's going to be like and try to imagine what it will be like in America.
I haven't read that column yet.
Yeah.
But Biden gaffes and Trump gaffes are not equal.
I agree with that.
And every politician gaffes, every one of them. They've all made mistakes. 57 states, which wasn't a gaffe. And by the way, most of Obama's gaffes were not really gaffes. They were complete out of context, upside down exaggerations by Sean Hannity or someone like that.
Yeah.
In spite of what Donald Trump says, Barack Obama was a really good public speaker.
It's fantastic.
I'm going out on a limb by saying that.
One of the best we've ever had in that office in the modern era, in the television radio era.
Right. But when Joe Biden makes a gaffe, he is more like a conventional politician who makes a mistake. When Trump does it, it really shows that there is mental deterioration, because when he kept saying herd mentality instead of herd immunity, several times on the town hall. And this is one of these ones. First of all, a gaffe, very often you correct yourself very, very quickly.
Generally.
Okay? And he never knew he said it. And no one corrected him. I so wish someone in the audience would have just hammered him on that. I thought that would have been wonderful.
It says
that would have been part of the ambush. I understand, but
let me read a little bit of this so I can give you a flavor of it instead of just teasing you with it. Mr. Biden has often followed the code of honor when campaigning in their world. In New Hampton, Iowa, when a man accused Biden of being too old and abusing his political power, Biden shot back, "You're a damned liar." He also challenged him to a push-up contest. Critics in the media reported on the exchange as another Biden gaffe, but that's not how many people there in New Hampton read it. They gave Mr. Biden a spirited round of applause. I'll get to their conclusion here. Mr. Biden was
that's not a gaffe.
I don't think so either.
That's Biden losing his temper.
When you see someone showing human emotion, it's kind of weird because of whatever Donald Trump narcissistic bullshit that's been going on for 3.5, 4, whatever years. So to the media, they clutch the pearls, but that's not how people in America are reading it. Mr. Biden must be a custodian of our embattled national political culture while also appealing to voters who are sometimes enthralled by a president who relentlessly attacks that same culture. The good news is that Democrats have nominated someone capable of walking that tightrope. In the first presidential debate and on the hustings, Mr. Biden must appeal to these cultural sensibilities without going low, as Miss Obama put it. Can I
fact check you?
It's hustings.
Yeah.
Okay. As he attempts to this delicate balance.
What's the name of the magazine that Larry Flint does?
Hustler.
Right.
Does he still do it? Because he's dead.
Yeah, no, he's not dead.
Is he not dead, really?
He's not dead. It's Larry Flint. All right, so Larry Flint, not dead, but Terry Cass dead. Yeah, Jimi Hendrix dead.
Yeah, as he attempts this delicate balance, observers should consider the possibility that Mr. Biden's next gaffe is not necessarily another sign of his clumsiness. It might just be evidence of his cultural finesse, says the New York Times.
But see, there's a difference between a gaffe. Remember that the actual definition of a gaffe is someone telling the truth about something.
Correct.
Donald Trump saying herd mentality is senility. That's cognitive deterioration.
Right.
That's the inability to know what he's saying. He wouldn't have said that 20 years ago or 30 years ago, probably. And the larger truth of what he was trying to say was that he has signed on with that crank quack from Stanford, Scott Atlas, and he has said more and more, it's just going to go away. It's going to finally die off. Well, you know what? We're all going to die off one day, and it's very clear that his plan, and this is so upside down Trumpian. He keeps bragging about the fact. And he argues the ultimate straw man of it was either what Trump did all the way through for the last 6 months was perfect, didn't make any mistakes, wouldn't do it any differently. We did a great job. I should get the Nobel Prize for medicine. Or I would have done nothing if I would have done what they wanted me to do, and we'd have 2 million dead. There's just nothing in between that. Just not a thing in between, right? And so that's just upside down horse shit. It's just upside down horse shit. And
that's a good place for us to. I think that's a good place for us to stop today. Upside down horse shit.
Upside down. I didn't mean to say it that way. I really didn't mean it, George. I didn't mean it, George. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
I did see the Steve Carell thing with about politics. It's called Irresistible. It's pretty good. Chris Cooper is in it. A lot of good people are in it. It's very good if you want to see that. And
is that the Jon Stewart thing?
Yeah. I just saw it. I got it off the Redbox, so I watched it I was using old media. And then I did see King of Staten Island finally, the Judd Apatow movie with Pete Davidson. And it's very, very good. A lot of those New York comics.
I want to see that one. I want to see that one.
Those New York comics, like Rich Voss and Bill Burr and those guys, they're all in that movie, and they're really funny. Okay. But yeah, they're both pretty good movies. Those are my movie suggestions. They're at the Redbox right now, everybody. Go run. See you tomorrow.